So if there was ever a buzzword in the marketing industry, strategic would be at the very top of that list. You'd be hard-pressed to find an agency or marketing vendor that doesn't incorporate the word strategy, strategic planning, thinking. You get the idea. Within their content, their website content, their commercials, their messages to you, their takeaways, however they want to do it, they're all talking about strategy. And if everybody's talking about it, it must be pretty important, right? So today we are going to dive into strategic marketing. What exactly does it mean? What does it look like? Because all of us are saying the same words, but I guarantee you it means something different to every single organization. And so understanding exactly the thinking behind it, how to apply it, and maybe some questions to ask, you're going to get a better understanding of what it means to you, to your marketing plans, and to the success or the failure of your campaigns. Welcome to Down Digi, where we're getting down to the business of digital marketing. I'm your host, Karina Keys. So when you break down the word strategy or strategic planning, it really comes down to the act of gathering all of the right pieces of information together so that you can make the right plan, put the right pieces in place, and make decisions that are going to yield the outcomes that you want to achieve. And the way that we do it here, and again, everybody does it differently, but the way that we do it here is we start with the end in mind. What are those goals that you're trying to achieve? What do you need to do with your marketing dollars to really have a successful campaign? If we talked to you in 6 months and asked you how we did, what would the answer be? What would need to happen between now and then for you to say, everything is on track? We're doing what we're supposed to do and you're happy with the results of your campaign. Those are the KPIs that we want to put in place, those key performance indicators that kind of are that guiding light that we use throughout the planning process and execution, monitoring, and even optimizations to make sure that everything is going in the right direction. So you start with the end in mind, you start at that goal, and you work backwards. From there, you need to really have a good understanding of who your best buyer is. And whether that's in the B2B realm or you're talking business to consumer, if you don't understand who your buyer is and what motivates them and what they're seeking from you, it's going to be really difficult to have a strategic marketing plan. That's when you just have a broadcast message that you hope sprays across a large enough crowd that enough of them respond to make it impactful. A strategic plan, on the other hand, has a very, very good descriptive. You have a persona developed that you're really trying to identify with, to target, to talk to. And within that persona, you know what their behaviors are. They probably have a name. You know what they look like. You know what their interests are, how old they are, where they live, what kind of vehicle they drive. If they have a dog or they don't have a dog, maybe they have a cat. But having that persona developed really helps you, again, fine-tune and really hone in on who you're trying to communicate, because then that leads to the message. What is it that's going to resonate with them? How are they going to be interested? How are they going to engage and respond? But it also gives us insights as to where to place the buys, where to place the ads so that they engage with the right person at the right time. And really it's about being relevant and timely all across the board. You can have the greatest ad creative or the most beautifully designed video, but if it's not engaging with your core audience when they're in market for your product, it still is not going to yield you the results that you need. So once you know your audience well enough, you've got a good idea of where you're going to place the ads that's really going to engage with them and be relevant and timely. The next thing to do is to test it. Run some A/B tests, put a few ads out there in maybe a small study group, or if you need to get in market faster, go ahead and dive in and go all out. But make sure that you're monitoring and watching what's happening within your campaign, within your analytics, within the conversion mechanisms that are set up in place, and that those key performance indicators that were identified early on are giving you the answers that you need to have in order to understand how well your campaign is performing. Because every good strategic plan has the ability to be flexible. And that flexibility really allows us and your teams the opportunity to adjust and shift as they need to make sure that every dollar spent going on is based on data is based on science that's being collected, based on conversions or sales metrics, so that at the end of the day, at the end of that 6-month window, we can sit across from the table from each other and say, yes, that was a successful campaign, let's do it again. Or maybe it was a little bit off the mark, but it was okay, so it's worth tweaking, fine-tuning, and testing again. Whatever that outcome is, know that it is a learning process, because at the end of the day, every one of us is talking to a human on the other side of the screen, on the other side of the piece of mail, whatever that marketing tactic is. And while we think we can predict human behavior, I don't know anybody that's really nailed it 100% of the time yet. So as long as you keep in mind, we're talking to a human, we're talking to an individual, we have a persona, we've got something that they value and that they need, and you do it with authenticity and sincereness, your campaigns are going to be successful. So we started out by saying how our process is and how we always start with the end in mind. And we recently had a client come to us, a business that had a business challenge. They needed to increase their revenue to their e-commerce site, and they weren't exactly sure how to do it. And so starting with the end in sight, we developed the KPIs, we looked at their target audience, we analyzed what their competitors were doing in the same market space. We did a little bit of A/B testing to see what resonated most with their audience and what really got them to engage and interact and not just go to the website, but actually make a purchase and convert on that site. We played a little bit with bidding strategies and keyword testing, different types of Google products between Google Shopping and pay-per-click. And at the end of the day, what we found is that that combination of keywords, of ad copy, imagery, and timing all led to the conversion that this company was looking for. At the end of the day, it yielded them 180% increase in revenue, which is exactly what they wanted to happen. A little more than they wanted to happen, but that's okay. But when we sat down across the table and said, how is it going for you? How does business look? They were able to give us the feedback that we needed to better hone and continue to improve the performance of that campaign, to do additional testing, to do additional, try different keywords and ad images and ad copy that ultimately yielded the results that they needed to have for their business to continue to grow and thrive. Thanks for joining us today for Down Digi. I hope you know more now than you did 5 minutes ago. Until next week, cheers.